Hi everyone, this is Sidra. Last time we talked about epithelial tissue, and today we'll be continuing on that. We talked about simple and stratified, we talked about the types of cell, squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. Today we'll be finding out where they're found in the body and what function they serve. Starting with simple squamous epithelium, which is one cell thick and is made up of flat cells. It's found all over the cardiovascular system. It lines the inside of it, and it's called the endothelium. It's also found in the pleural cavity. It forms the lining of it, the peritoneal cavity, and the pericardium, where it's called mesothelium. Lastly, it's also found in the nephrons, especially lining the Bowman's capsule. It lines the alveoli, and since it's only one cell thick, its major function is to aid in diffusion. Mesothelium, it secretes a substance which aids in lubrication as well. Next up, we have simple cuboidal, so that's a single layer of cuboidal cells, which is found in the proximal convoluted tubule of the nephron. They form the brush border with microvilli and grab onto nutrients in the filtrate and bring them into the bloodstream. The primary function of cuboidal cells is absorption and secretion. Therefore, they're also found in the germinal epithelium of the ovary, as well as the seminiferous tubules of the testes. I just want to point out here that the germinal epithelium is where the sperm are made, and the rest of the seminiferous tubules contain stratified cuboidal epithelium. Other places simple cuboidal is found is in the small ducts of the salivary gland, the pancreas, and the small collecting ducts of the kidney. It is also found around the secretory portions of the sweat glands and the thyroid follicles, as well as the pigmented retina of the eye. Next up, we have simple columnar epithelium, which is a single sheet of cells that are tall. They're found all over the GI tract, starting from the lower esophageal sphincter down to the dentate line in the anus. They combine with microvilli to aid in absorption of nutrients from the lumen of, let's say, the ileum into the bloodstream. They're also found in the female reproductive tract, where they combine with cilia to help transport the ovum and the sperm. Pseudostratified epithelium is a special kind of columnar epithelium that's found in the respiratory tract and the male reproductive tract. So the way you can remember that is by the two R's, Resp and Repro. In the respiratory tract, it lines the luminal surface starting from the trachea down to the bronchi and ending at the bronchioles. It combines with cilia to help in transport of mucin, which is secreted by the goblet cells and helps trap foreign bodies and then expels them out of the body by the coughing reflex. To identify pseudostratified epithelium, just think of the name. Pseudo means fake, and stratified means in multiple layers. So identify the basement membrane and see if all of the cells, whether tall or short, are touching it. If they are, doesn't matter if the nuclei look like they're in layers, it's pseudostratified. Another special feature of pseudostratified epithelium is that they contain goblet cells. In the male reproductive tract, pseudostratified epithelium lines the epididymis and the vas deferens. This is where they combine with Stereocilia to absorb dead sperm as well as excess fluid. Stratified means multiple layers, and squamous is of course flat cells. So multiple layers of flat cells come in two forms: keratinized and non-keratinized. Keratinized epithelium is found on the skin and is for protection against abrasion, as well as preventing evaporation and loss of nutrients from our body. They're made of non-living cells filled with keratin protein and is thicker on the palms and the soles because that's where most of the work that we do occurs. So if you look at a histological slide of the skin, you'll see a keratin swirl on top, and underneath that is the surface squamous cells. So stratified epithelium is named after the first layer of the cells. In this case, it happens to be squamous, and it's called the stratum corneum. At the bottom, on the basement membrane, we have columnar cells, which are used for regeneration, and in between there's polyhedral cells forming multiple layers which have their own various functions. Non-keratinized epithelium forms the moist mucous membranes, and it lines the internal surfaces of our body that are connected to the outside in some way. And this, of course, is to provide protection against abrasion, but also lubrication, which is why they're not keratinized, because we don't want to prevent water loss. We want some kind of lubrication there because it helps in the function. So the upper GI tract, the mouth, pharynx, and esophagus, which receive food boluses, which could be hot, which could be a little bit chunky and cause problems. So you need lubrication to get it down, but you also need protection. And you have the anus, which receives feces and, expels them out into the world. So you'll need a little bit of lubrication to make that process smooth, but also protection. The same goes for the vaginal canal in the female reproductive tract and the cornea of the eye, which of course provides protection but also needs to be hydrated. We're going to talk about stratified, cuboidal, and columnar together because they have a similar function, and that is to line large excretory ducts. So cuboidal will be found in the more medium-sized, whereas the columnar will be in the larger ducts. Let's take gallbladder. So the common bile duct would be lined by cuboidal, whereas when you get closer to the liver, and these are larger ducts, they're lined by columnar epithelium. So the duct of the pancreas, the duct coming out of sweat glands, and salivary glands are all lined by cuboidal and columnar in multiple layers. I just made this diagram to show you guys that in histology, sometimes the connective tissue pushes on the basement membrane and makes these papillae, and the epithelial cells are lined on it, and it gives it a characteristic wavy appearance to the tissue and possibly helps with a better hold or increases surface area. Transitional epithelium is perhaps the most interesting kind of epithelium, and that's because it actually changes shape, and it lines the urinary system starting from the renal calyces, the renal pelvis, the ureter, and the bladder. In its relaxed state, the urinary system has cuboidal epithelium, and it's usually present in 5 to 6 layers. And then as the bladder starts filling up with urine, or the urinary system is stretched by the formation of urine, these cells slowly start to become flattened and become squamous epithelium, which is present in 2 or 3 layers. So there's a change in shape and a change in number of layers as well. And this is a really smart system because this allows stretching without any breaks in the layer, and that's important because we want to create an osmotic barrier between the toxic urine and the organ. The other way this is done is by secreting uroplakin, which prevents the urine from irritating the bladder. These cells are called umbrella or dome-shaped cells because they're rounded on the top and a little bit squarish at the bottom, and sometimes they have a tendency to be binucleate. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Part 3 of epithelial tissue will be uploaded soon. Take care and have a great day.